Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks to Go, your weekly podcast about fantasy football. I am your host, Nash, and let's get into it. Game week 19 is done, and we have 19 game weeks left to go. I don't know about you, but these last 3 game weeks have been very unfortunate for me. I am struggling. I'm about to start languishing. I need to change things. And to that effect, I'm really happy that the new chips have been brought out because I feel like I need to make some drastic changes, but I don't know what it is. I can't seem to make the right one. Thankfully, just like the previous game week, there's one day in between game weeks, which means there's an opportunity for us to do better and also to just forget. You know, they say champions forget. So it's for us to just say, that was last year, new year, new me, and let's get it. With an average of 40. How did you do? Let's talk about it. So, for me, the first thing that went wrong was I brought Michael Keane into my team. I bring in Michael Keane into my team, and then suddenly he gets injured and he can't play. And then I bring in, and then I have O'Reilly. O'Reilly gets substituted on the 56th minute. It seemed like there were many small injuries. Rice did not play. Calafiori still not playing. So, Newcastle. We're all over there looking for Voltemada after he scored 2 goals. Nothing. Not a goal, not an assist. Nothing. What happens? It's Visa who's come and he's back in the goals. You'd think Newcastle might keep a clean sheet against Burnley? Nope, nothing. And then Chelsea played 2-2. And it's Palmer and Enzo with assists from Estevao and Garnacho. Nothing there. So if you had your Reece James and your João Pedro and your Neto like me, that's it. On the Bournemouth side, at least Semenyo had an assist. So now for me, Everton, I was very bitter because my player did not play and I didn't know he wasn't going to play. So if you picked the wrong player, you got punished. And then Arsenal went and totally hammered Aston Villa. But if you brought in Watkins, at least he got something. And then Gabriel is back, and Gabriel is back amongst the goals, which means he's going to be a high pick. You have Saka, he only has an assist. And then you have Morgan Rogers, who does nothing. And as soon as I brought Morgan Rogers into my team, he did absolutely nothing. I remove Welbeck from my team, he scores and misses a penalty. So I don't even know what's better. And of course, if you have West Ham players and you had Paqueta or Bowen, those are the expected picks, and they did well. Now, a lot of people made Cunha the most brought-in player this week, and he did nothing. And Man United couldn't even get a clean sheet. And many people brought in Dogo because he had like 18 the weekend before. And now he got nothing. And he could have been the one to prevent the goal. And then the next day which was yesterday, was just full of disappointment. Crystal Palace, Mateta finally scores. Wilson does not score. Instead of Wilson, it's Kearney. Nobody has him. So, clean sheet for Crystal Palace gone. So, if you had your Gay and Henderson, nothing. Then Liverpool keep a clean sheet against Leeds. So, Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't score when I bring him in. And that's true for many others as well. And then you have Ekitike. People captained him hoping for a great result. And there's nothing. 0-0 between Liverpool and Leeds. 0-0 between Brentford and Spurs. So if you had a Spurs defender, that's 2 defenses in a row with clean sheets. And Brentford, well, if you had a defender, well done to you. But going forward, if you had brought in Shada because he had a hat-trick, the joke was on you. If you had Igor Thiago, still nothing. Then Sunderland versus Man City. Majority of us captained Haaland because they had a good game last time. Some captained even Foden. But nothing happened. 0-0. So defense was key this week with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clean sheets. So if you had a good goalkeeper and many defenders, you did well. If you were going forward, you did not do well. Now, the marquee game of the week was Aston Villa versus Arsenal. Arsenal beat them 4-1. Like I said, Gabriel was back and he scored. Trossard scored. Zubimendi scored. Jesus scored a very good goal to finish the game. And then Watkins scored with almost the last touch of the game. Timber, Saka, Odegaard, and Trossard had the assists. Trossard is low-key a good player to have from Arsenal. It's just a matter of timing it. Marlon had the assist for Watkins. It was a great revenge game. Aston Villa looked like they didn't know who they were playing. But also, like I'd said earlier, they had a bunch of people missing, and I didn't think they were going to be able to put up a strong resistance towards Arsenal, and my hunch was correct. Gabriel got the 3 bonus points, along with Trossard, and Zubimendi got 1. When it comes to the marquee game, was also the highest scoring game. When it comes to a disappointing game, you could choose Liverpool Leeds or Sunderland Man City, actually it has to, can it be Man United Wolves? Because in this game, Aston Villa's streak came to an end and Wolves' losing streak came to an end, both on the same weekend. I think I'm just going to give it to Liverpool and Manchester City, because we had high hopes for Haaland, high hopes for Ekitike, and to some extent high hopes for Manchester United defense, but they couldn't keep a clean sheet, and Ekitike and Haaland and Foden couldn't score, and that is just general disappointment. That's just all it was. Very disappointing game. Can you believe only 2 goals were scored yesterday? We wait for the whole new year for this to happen. Ugh. When it comes to round points, Pickford and Perry were tied for best with 10 points each. Donnarumma and Roofs are tied for third. Third. And then Kelleher, Alisson are tied for 5th. When it comes to defenders, before I go on, Donnarumma, Roofs had 7, Kelleher, Becker had 6. When it comes to defenders, Gabriel was a top-performing defender with 15 points. Matheus Nunes and Mukiele had 11. Veltman and Pedro Porro had 10. And that is the top 5 defenders. When it comes to midfield, Garner from Everton was a top-performing midfielder. He had a really good goal and a really good pass for Barry to score. I really enjoyed watching that. Trossard had 13 along with Paqueta, Laurent, and Brooks along with Bruno Guimaraes were tied for 10 points each. Now, when it comes to forwards, Mateta was a top-performing forward with 9 points, followed by Xerxes, who had 8. Broja had 7 along with Bowen, and in 5th place it's Wissa and Barry tied with 6. When it comes to stats, I guess news matters, and one of the most important things to break this week is Enzo Maresca and Chelsea have decided to part ways. What does this mean for Chelsea? We don't know. Who's the new manager? We don't know yet. It will probably be settled over the next 10 days, but for this game week, they have a caretaker manager. Brighton have re-signed Pascal Gross permanently, and he has been a great FPL stats machine. He gets bonus points. He does all the right things. And so watch him. He will be somebody good to know. Now, another thing to note, Rodri is back. When he was on the pitch, he came on at halftime and he led all players on the pitch for passes completed. And so his return in the new year could mean great things for Manchester City going forward. It's going to be an interesting title race. Like I alluded to earlier, there were only 2 goals scored on the second day of the game week. And this is the second day. This is just the second day in Premier League history to have at least 4 games played, but see as few as 2 goals scored. The last time this happened, it was in 29th April, 1998. And it was also 2 goals in 4 games. So maybe there's a bit of New Year's hangover. Perry, the Leeds keeper, was the first Leeds keeper to keep a clean sheet against Liverpool since 1995. Enzo Maresca is the first manager in Premier League history to leave his club on New Year's Day. Under Enzo Maresca, Chelsea averaged 1.74 points per game in the Premier League. Among managers with 30-plus league games in charge of the club in the 21st century, only Frank Lampard 1.52 and Mauricio Pochettino 1.66 have a lower rate. So that's something. Wolves are only the second side in top-flight history to go 19 matches from the start of the season without winning. The last team to do this was Bolton in 1902-03. Wow, that's a long time ago. Arsenal beating Aston Villa 4-1 was the biggest margin of victory in a Premier League match between two sides starting the day in the top three since Manchester City beat Arsenal 4-1 in April 2023. I guess they really wanted to wipe off that bit of history. Speaking of Arsenal are just the second team to score 20-plus set-piece goals, excluding penalties, in consecutive years in the Premier League, 21 in 2024 and 20 in 2025, after Wimbledon did it between 1993 to 1996. Arsenal scored 17 goals from corners in 2025. Only Manchester United in 2012, who scored 18, have ever netted more in a calendar year. Joelinton scored in the 65th second of the match, just barely over a minute, and it is the quickest goal Burnley have ever considered in a Premier League match. In the year 2025, Erling Haaland had the most points, garnering 224 points. Semenyo was second, garnering 207 points. Mo Salah had 206 points. Brian Mbeumo, 200 points, and Bruno Fernandes, 192 points in 2025. Haaland, Ekitike, and Cunha were the most popular captains, and all of them returned 4 points each. When it comes to DEFCON points, Fofana got the most DEFCON points with 22 actions. Garner with 19 actions, along with Tarkowski with 19. Miley had 18 in fourth, and Alderete and Mateus Fernandes had 17. So, the most selected player was Erling Braut Haaland. He was also the most captained and also the most vice-captained. When it comes in to the most transferred player in for this game week, Gabriel has been brought in by 588,000. Morgan Rogers, 374,000. Bruno Guimaraes, 200,000. Sheki, 167,000. Tarkowski, 163,000. Players out, Rice, 373,000. Cucurella, 159,000. Igor Thiago removed by 157,000. Chalobah removed by 148,000. Foden removed by 147,000. Like I said, the average of the game week was 40. So if you did 40 and above, well done. If you did not, don't worry, you have next week. Now, when it comes to the top performing manager this week, they used their bench boost and got 112 points. Very interesting decisions. In goal was Pickford, and Pickford was also their captain. Tofigal is the name of the team. So, clearly an Everton fan, which makes sense why they would captain Pickford. Virgil van Dijk, 6 points. Mukiele, 11. Pedro Porro, 10. Gay, 2. Zubimendi, 8. Garner, 16. Saka, 5. Bruno Guimaraes, 10. Haaland, 2. Bowen, 7. Raya, 2. Semenyo, 5. Ruben Diaz, 6. Richarlison, 2. And that's how they got 112 points. When it comes to our table, Ayodele Oladuni was our top manager with 79 points this week. Can you believe that? 79. Just goes to show how tough the week was. Number 2 had 69, who was Kojo Danso. Tatiana Mislenovic, 66. Keith Njagi and Dejan Seveski were tied for 4th and 5th with 65 points. When looking at Ayodele's team, like I said, they got 79 points. In goal, Raya, 2 points. Ruben Diaz, 6 points. Gabriel captain, 30 points. Tarkowski, 9 points. Gakpo, 1 point. Saka, 6 points. Semenyo, 5. Salah, 0. Kluivert, 9. Mateta, 9. Richarlison, 2. So it's very clear to me that this manager just left their team. They haven't looked at the team in a while. This is one of those set and forget teams. And Salah being there is just proof of that. And Salah not even being able to be subbed by another player is also proof of that. But also, well done. A broken clock is right twice a day, they say. On the other end, the lowest points belong to Nicolas Badia, Nicola LFC. 16 points. Alisson, 6. Milenkovic, 1. Munoz, 0. Van Hecke, 0. Morgan Rogers, 1. Gakpo captain, 2. Cunha, 2. Elanga, 0. Welbeck, 3. João Pedro, 1. Chris Wood, 0. So you can see this is the other side of not making your team. Second from bottom, Murunga Manyara, 21. Anton N, 22. Commander Amos, 23. And rounding up the bottom 5 is Mishuki Shege, 24. Tough week. Most points on the bench this week belongs to Identity, who has 25 points on the bench, which is so funny because they only got 31. And it's also still funny because that 25 would have seen him clear the bottom 5 point getters. These are the players I wish I had on my bench. I used my bench boost and I got like 14. Very painful. So, on the bench, this manager had Dubravka, 2, Timber, 9, Tarkowski, 9, Stach, 5. Team Kubwa, managed by Moses Chege, 23 points on the bench. Mishuki Chege, 22 points on the bench. Jeffrey Jeremy and Akil Hazmi and Mike Wow all had 21 points on their bench. The team with the most scorers belongs to Clarence. He had 4 goal scorers. Isn't that so sad? Now, when it comes to the team with the best midfield, Sir Carlos Wenger has seen his team's midfield deliver 32 points. The best defense belongs to Ayodele Oladuni, who had 47 points from his defenders. When it comes to the team with the most transfers, Mike's team made 7. Ali Muddin made 6. Victor Nyabola made 6. Mark Lukwago and Mark Mora round up the top 5, making 5 transfers apiece. When it comes to best transfer outcomes, Kojo Danso got the best transfer outcomes by making 19 points off the transfers made and losing no points. Cyril Mutali got 15. Otio Mondi 15, Washira Gitahi 15, and Keith Njagi 13. And that's the top 5 of the people who had the best transfer outcomes. On the other end, Mike Mbogwa lost 24 points from the moves made. Victor Nyabola, 23, negative. Anton N, 23, negative. Martin Asewe, 17. And Joe Baraza, minus 15. When it comes to the team with the highest value, it still belongs to Collins Kogi, whose team is now valued at 106.2. When it comes to the team with the lowest team value, Eddie Olang, his team is valued at 97.1. When it comes to the team with the highest change in team value, Onyango Mandela has added 0.8 to his team value. On the other end, Jeffrey Jeremy has seen their team value drop by 1.1, and I think that's the highest so far. That's a bit high. Now, when it comes to the person with the differential, Leon Mortier, along with Martin Asawe, Kojo Danso, and a bunch of others, I guess, all had Gabriel. I don't know if they brought him in or they never removed him. But Gabriel was a great differential in our table this week. Actually, he was the biggest, followed by Trossard, giving 15 points. Trossard gave 13, and Mateus Nunes gave 11. Those were the biggest differentials in our group this week. When it comes to captain choices, the most captain player this week, as you can imagine, was Haaland, with 124 managers captaining him. Ekitike was captained by 19 managers. Cunha was captained by 10. Palmer was captained by 7. Foden was captained by 6. Saka was captained by 5. Voltemada was captained by 3. Mo Salah captained by another 3. Wood captained by 2. Gyökeres, Hudson-Odoi, Grealish, Gakpo, Wirtz, Raul Jimenez, Mateta, João Pedro, Mbeumo, Semenyo, Watkins, Cash, Odegaard and Gabriel were each captained by 1 manager each. Keith Njagi has seen his rank rise by 936,000 positions globally, and he's the highest ranker globally in our league this week. Anton N has dropped the most points globally, has dropped 812,000 positions globally. When it comes to a streak of green arrows, Madman Bielsa and Vic Nyadi have been doing great things and have seen their team have green arrows for 7 weeks in a row. When it comes to the other end, Mistaken has seen their team have red arrows for the 6th week in a row, but they are not alone. Mozart J, Nicholas Padilla, Anton N, Skyscraper have all seen their streak of red arrows rise to 6. When it comes to our league, 15 Stars FC, managed by Keith Njagi, rose 29 positions. When it comes to biggest drop in our league, Moses Chege dropped 20 positions this week. When it comes to our league table, the top 3 really struggled. None of them got above 40 points. And so that led the rest of the league table to catch up. So number 1 is still Arnold Midunga. I think he's been holding this for like 3 weeks now. 1188 points. Number 2 is Alan Muchangi. 1179 points. King Kev. 1166. Papi Chulo, a new number 4. 1163 points. Konsi Konsa, well done, Mr. Motia, jumped up to number 5, 1161 points. Charlie's Reds, managed by Charles Cadevillis, is in 6th place with 1159 points. Amos Langat is in 7th place with 1157 points, along with Jeffrey Jeremy. In number 9, we have Franklin Asiema, who has 1155 points. And rounding up the top 10 is Jairam Prajapati, 1144 points. So number 1 has 1188. To get to 1088, that number is at number 28. So if you're between number 1 and number 28, you're just within 100 points of number 1, and anything can happen. So keep going. For the rest of us, we need to step up. We need to close that gap because it's not looking good. Now, on the other end of the table, at the bottom, is Mark Mora, 375 points. Don Clinton, 589 points. Mike Mbogwa, 688 points. Murunga Imanyara, 727 points. And 5th from bottom is Timodera, 735 points. So, as you can see, these guys are not in contention. They would need a miracle, especially the bottom one, to get anywhere, because that's over 600 points. So I think the bottom is stable as it is. Number 1 in the world only managed 40 points this week. Matty C's 5'3". Now they have 1323 points. That is wild. That is so high. That is nearly 200 points more than ours. Goodness. So, in goal, they have Raya, who had 2. Hinkapie, 2 points. Tarkowski, 9. O'Reilly, 1. Cunha, 2. Saka, 6. Rogers, 1. Foden, 3. Captain Haaland, 4. Calvert-Lewin, 1. Mateta, 9. And so, you can see, even at the top, it was a bit of a struggle. The game week begins tomorrow, and so there's not much time, so I won't go in depth like I usually do. So, Aston Villa take on Forest. Both teams had a poor showing last time out, and both teams will be looking to do better. Aston Villa will be looking to bounce back, and if you believe that they will, Morgan Rogers somehow is still recommended. But the real man of the match for these guys is Mr. Watkins. He has been delivering over the last few weeks, so he would be the first one. Then Morgan Rogers, and then you can try your luck with Tielemans. On the Forest end, it's a bit of a rough patch right now, so I wouldn't recommend their players, but should you want to, it's just Igor Jesus, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Hudson-Odoi. Brighton versus Burnley. This is a good opportunity for them to get back on the wagon. They both had disappointing results over the weekend. Welbeck will feel like he could have done more, and so he will be a good candidate for this one. Minte is a bit questionable, but maybe Gross could be a great differential should he be cleared to play. But if he's not, stick with Gross, Mr. Jorginho Ruta, and De Kuiper. On the Burnley end, Fleming, Broja, maybe Cullen. Wolves versus West Ham. Both teams had encouraging results in that they did not lose. And Wolves, if you're looking for Wolves player, you have to go with Tolu, and that's about it. And if you want the goal scorer, you get Krejci. On West Ham, it's simple. You get Mr. Bowen, Paqueta, and maybe Diouf. Oh, no, Diouf is gone. Sorry. That's it. That's all I would recommend from West Ham. Bournemouth, on the other end, have Arsenal. Arsenal were really impressive against Aston Villa and finally defeated them. They will be looking to continue this streak against an inconsistent Bournemouth. Now, there's talk of Semenyo leaving to Man City, but Iraola said that he expects him to play at the very least the next 2 games. So Semenyo will be there, and then you can go with Brooks and maybe Evan Nielsen. On the Arsenal end, Gabriel is back, so does that mean the defensive woes are finished? Nope, they still considered. But if you think they will score and you think he will score, he's definitely worth having. He's the best defender in the Premier League this season. Then you have Trossard and Saka. And if you want to be very sneaky, you could have Gabriel Jesus. Leeds versus Manchester United. Leeds have been very difficult to beat of late. I think they've gone about 6 games undefeated, and they will be looking to win Manchester United. Manchester United were very disappointing against Wolves in that they did not win, and Leeds will be seeing this as an opportunity. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Stach, and who else would you recommend? Aronson. Those 3 would be pivotal in this game for them, while Cunha, Zexi are the favourites right now for Manchester United. Everton versus Brentford. As always, if you believe in Brentford, it will be now a combination of Igor Thiago, Damsgaard, Shada, and maybe a defender, maybe Collins or Kelleher. He's been doing well of late. If you believe in Everton, you have to go Pickford, Tarkowski, and maybe Garner. Fulham versus Liverpool. If you're looking for a Liverpool player, they will be looking. Both teams were not encouraging over the weekend. Both teams did not win. Liverpool will be looking to Ekitike. They'll be looking to Wirtz. And they'll be looking towards Gakpo. Fulham will be looking towards Harry Wilson, Raul Jimenez, and maybe Robertson. Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. You'll see Mateta. Brennan Johnson has just signed. If he plays, he would be a good addition for them. They need somebody with goals, and he can score. It's unfortunate it didn't work out at Spurs, but this is a great opportunity for them. So Mateta, and that's about it. It's really hard to recommend a Crystal Palace player right now. They're not doing well. Newcastle on the other end. Now, if you believe in Lisa, Bruno Guimaraes, and Gordon. Spurs have both teams drew over the weekend. Sunderland were more impressive in that they did not lose to Manchester City. They're the surprise package this season. Roofs, Mukiele, Enzo Lefebvre are who I'd recommend. From Spurs, you can choose either Pedro Porro, Van de Ven, and then going forward, Richarlison. Yep, that's about it. Manchester City versus Chelsea is a marquee game of the weekend. Chelsea have a caretaker manager, so unless they're very lucky, I don't think they have a chance in this one. I am fully believing in Manchester City here, and I would say If you have Haaland, Cherki, and maybe Mateus Nunes, those are the three best players right now for them. And on Chelsea, there is no best player, and maybe that's why the season's going the way it's going. But Palmer, Neto, Joao Pedro are the best players for Chelsea right now. If you're to choose a captain, Aston Villa versus Forest, I think Watkins is the best captain in that game. Brighton versus Burnley, I would choose a defender in this game. Maybe Van Hecker or Veltman. I don't know. You choose. West Ham, Bowen or Paqueta. Bournemouth versus Arsenal, maybe Trossard or maybe Mr. Saka or maybe Mr. Gabriel. Leeds versus Manchester United, Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Zexi. Everton versus Brentford. You just saw the highest person had Pickford as their captain, so why not? Or Garner. And then or Igor Thiago. Or Shada. Fulham versus Liverpool. I know both teams disappointed last week out, but I can see a way that Raul Jimenez could score. I could also see Ekitike scoring. Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. If you believe in Crystal Palace, Mateta. If you believe in Newcastle, maybe Voltemada or Bruno Guimaraes. Spurs versus Sunderland. It's tough. It's a tough one. It's tricky. Let's see. Spurs, maybe a defender. They've been keeping clean sheets of late. So the defender you have is the right decision. Sunderland, also they've kept 2 clean sheets in a row. Mukiele has been impressive. He would be one I would recommend. And then maybe Enzo Lefebvre. Man City versus Chelsea. You never know. Former players like to revenge, so Palmer could be a good captain choice here if you have him, but I wouldn't bring him into this fixture. Manchester City has to be Haaland or Cherki. And if you're feeling a bit gambly, you could choose Foden. And yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. That is the end of this podcast. I think the calendar is about to slow down. We are now at the halfway point of the league. So it's time to lock in. I wish you all an even better year than the last one, or just a great year ahead. Happy New Year. We'll see you after the game week. Bye.